Morning. Right, how to paint skies in wet watercolour. This is a piece of Fabriano, £130. My palette: lemon yellow, raw sienna, alizarin crimson, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, Payne's grey. Okay, these are student qualities. Cotsman, Winsor & Newton watercolours, like 21ml tubes. Very good value. So buy as big as you can. You don't really need artist quality for this. So, wet, wet the paper all over. I haven't got anything in mind other than sketching in the sky, and I'll figure out some sort of landscape to put underneath it. But this is with the 2-inch hake. You can use whatever brush you like, but use the largest brush you can get away with for wet. You can't cover a piece of watercolour paper with a small sable. It'll take too long, and it'll be, by the time you got to the end of it, it'll be too dry. So, a bit of raw sienna, not too strong, but just put it sort of random here, all over though, missing some lighter areas, just to give a nice warmth to the clouds colour and a beginning of a reflection at the bottom if we decide to use some water. So we'll put in some sky, some blue, a little bit of light red or alizarin crimson with that. Okay, so there we are. We've got a nice bit of blue going on in there. Right, now into that we'll mix a bit of light red and ultramarine. That'll be our cloud colour, and we'll put that down at the bottom here, just coming up over the horizon. Right, and we'll put a heavier one up the top here. Can mix a bit of Payne's grey in there. Right, that's all we really need to do for that. We'll just put that, I'll do some water, we'll just reflect that colour in the foreground. Okay, now I'm going to reclip the paper. Maybe sometimes I take it for granted that you're further ahead, some of you, than you are, but I know some of you are well ahead of me. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a quick dry. Let's get that nice and flat, just to fix it. I don't want it to go too far into the paper, and I don't want it to pool in an oasis. So here we go. Okay, that'll do. It's not bone dry, but the shine's off the paper, and in that stage you can go over it if you wish, but I'd like to leave it alone. So we'll quickly put in a bit of a background, sort of Lake Districts or English Lake Districts impression, a bit of burnt sienna. But just don't try for perfection with this. This is impressionist painting in watercolour, and we're putting a bit of Payne's grey and a bit of Payne's grey and a bit of burnt sienna, just to give a bit of a so there's still just a bit damp there, but no matter. Right, I've got some really good rich green now. Look, lemon yellow, burnt sienna, Payne's grey, bit of ultra. I want this thick. so we can brush is split now. Now quickly just put in some distant trees, and we can put in some bluer ones on the top here, on the mountains, just a bit darker. When the paper's a bit wet, you need thick colour, so let's just put in some just drop this in. Some impressions of fields, not fields. Right, okay, so we've got something going on. I need to do some straightening up here, and then reflections. Well, reflections, well, they're much more expensive to do. Right, while that's still a little bit wet, we'll drag in some of this. The colour's more or less approximate. Look, that's quite dark in there. Leave a bit of white, plenty of sparkle in this one. A bit more sienna. Okay, now we'll put in a bit of blue. Right, bit of beach now, we're just any old colour. Quick foreground. So we clip. Any banging here is we're having part of the ceiling replaced. We had a slow leak from a pipe that, from one of two tanks that pulled out of the T. It's just the overflow, and in doing some work under there, me and my brother-in-law, between us, we dislodged one of the pipes from the T, and it's been dripping water for about 5 weeks. It's soaking wet and it's damaged the plaster, so we've had to take some of it down. That's all the noise. These things happen, don't they? Water's a terrible thing. Right, I'm going to put some blue in that, just for the sake of it. Bit of grasses. Right, now with a plastic card, we just quickly etch out some little rocks. Now you can, when the paint's wet, with your cards, you can drag the paint over into the water. Look. So some grasses and reeds coming up. Saves using a brush, and it's a much more impressionist feel to the paper. Look, that'll be out of or behind the mat. Right, okay, give that a bit of a dry. Nearly done. See, the sky has dried quite nicely. And we'll just put some brushy foreground over that. Now I've covered up some of my nice bits and pieces. So that will do just about. Right, I'm going to just go over that middle distance there, over here, just Right, now remember this is essentially a sky picture. Right, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to put in not a lot really. So just to finish the sky, a couple of bits. Little ones. Okay, right, calm morning that is. Let's put it in a mount and then we'll see what it looks like. Blue mount, I think. Whichever one comes to hand. Well, there we are. That's a reasonable sky picture. Very, very simple. Nothing too complicated there. Have a go at these things yourself. It does take a lot of practice, I have to say. But this is for beginners. What did I do? I put in a light wash of raw sienna. I then put some blue in, mixed with a little bit of alizarin, just to take the sting out of the blue. And while it was wet, I mixed the ultramarine blue with some light red. If this was laying flat, it would granulate more than that. You'll see the colours, the bits of powder would separate. It gives a lovely dry brush effect. But with the water running down at 45 degrees, it's not quite so straightforward. But we've got a very simple background. Stronger as we come to the foreground, bit of reflection here, and this nice little foreground. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye bye.